Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Tim Michael from TimMichaelArts.com. I hope that you guys have been enjoying the podcasts that I've been putting up. We have a brand new weekly podcast called the Artisan Central Podcast with myself and a whole bunch of other hosts. I hope that you guys have been listening to those and enjoying those. You can find those also on iTunes and on any other RSS feed system that you want to use. There's a couple really good ones on Android phones. I think there's Podcast Addict, there's a bunch of good ones. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to be doing in this video today. We are continuing our study, our learning on working on the Wacom Intuos 5, and this is the medium size board. There is a smaller board. I don't have that board. This is the medium size. But the rules that I talk about in this board apply with all boards. Okay, and that is, if you've seen the previous video that I put out last week, the idea that you need to draw quickly to get crisp lines, and that you need to use key commands with your keyboard to get things done the quickest, and then also that you need to line up your keyboard directly in alignment with your computer to get the easiest understanding as you're learning to work with the board and figuring out what points go to what points on the screen. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more once again about these key commands. There's lots of key commands that are built into Photoshop and all the programs that you use, like Manga Studio, like I would suggest for inking, but I'm going to continue to talk about inking in Photoshop since that's what most of us have. And then just like I said, key commands on the keyboard like Alt-Control-Z to undo multiple times, having the ability just to jump around really quick by hitting Z for zoom, by increasing or decreasing your brush with the bracket buttons over here. There's a lot of things that you can be doing here that will speed up your production instead of going into all of your settings in your user interface on Photoshop. Now, I did that in last week's video, but I'm going to do things differently today. This right here is a left-handed G13 from Logitech. What that is basically a keyboard built for gamers, so that way they can just do everything very quickly off of these commands. Now, the cool thing about this device is that you can program all these buttons as you see fit, and you can also do multiple programmings for multiple programs. And multiple, ways. It's insane how you can set this thing up. It's a really great board. If you're a gamer or if you're an artist, I strongly suggest it. I think it's around the $40, $50 level. It is the G13 from Logitech. You can look that up on Amazon. So we'll also kind of call this video kind of a review of the G13, although I've had it for like 2 or 3 years now. I love it, and I would suggest it for anyone who works with digital tablets. Okay, let me turn it around so I can kind of get my bearings on it, and I'll try to tell you a couple of the commands that I use. Alt-Control-Z I have programmed in. Here's an undo. I have redo programmed in here. Enter would be the middle button here. My rotate is up here, and the reason I have those settings is because I work with what's easiest with my hand, and because you rest your hand on the palm of it like that, and then you can just quickly hit your key commands. So my rotate of my screen is the G8. I can zoom in and out with G15 and G16, I believe, yes. And then if I want to do a color picker, I have that programmed in here. If I want to move around my screen, I have another button over here. If I want to make my brush bigger or smaller, I use the joystick up and down. And in a previous setup that I had for this, left and right would make the brush more feathered or less feathered. Okay, so you'll see me use this and try and focus on how I use this, how often I use this. It'll really give you a good idea of why it might be a good idea to have a board like this, or a keyboard that you will use on a regular basis. And you might have seen that a lot last week with using that other keyboard. Alright, so let's go ahead and start drawing. I will say first, the webcam that I'm recording from does seem to usually have a delay in it from the video that you're seeing me draw on my screen on my computer and my voice. So I apologize in advance about that, and I hope that hope it all goes nice and smooth. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you guys. You've been asking me for in the last video and in a couple previous videos, you're asking me about the brushes that I use. The good news for you guys is that I use all of the default brushes that come into Photoshop. I love the default brushes. So let me show you where you can get these. And it might not be that easy because it's on the side of my screen over here. If you get your pull down menu, and oh cool, that is within the recording, cool. Alright, if you go to your pull down menu in your brushes on the top left hand side, and you come down, there's one called round brushes with size. That is the default brushes that I use, okay? And this works out really well because I love the settings of these default brushes, and I rarely ever change them. If I do, it's on a very small, minute way or another, and I'm going to show you one of those ways today. In last week's video, I talked about using speed for getting your inking better. I showed you that by drawing a kind of pirate type of character. And one thing that I forgot to mention is spacing with your brushes. Okay, so when you're drawing normally, when I use a hard brush or whatever, I need to see what brush I'm using. I need to change my color. I'm sorry. I should have prepared this ahead of time, but I don't because I'm a lazy bum. Okay. So if I go ahead and select a brush that is a hard brush, and honestly, I don't work with this user interface. I work with another one, so I'm trying to find that real quick, and it's not finding. So I'm just going to go ahead and readjust this by turning off my transfer and adjusting my shape dynamics. And I know I like saying I don't make any changes, but for this case I'm going to make some quick changes just so we can get down to the nitty-gritty of this here. Okay, so when we talked last week and I was doing my inking for you, I was showing you these inkings of all this stuff, and it looked smooth. I mean, I guess you guys liked it, but there's something that I still don't like about it, and it's the spacing. What spacing is your lines are consecutive circles overlapped over top each other, and it's just individualized dots, and I can show you that by taking the spacing and stretching it out, and you'll see that it begins to turn into individualized dots, and now I can draw with those individualized dots. It's kind of cool if you like doing patterns and things like that, or if you're trying to get certain effects, but since we're trying to ink, we want the cleanest, smoothest flow. So you guys might already see what I'm saying, that if I come back to Photoshop's default at 25%, you still might be able to see individualized dots through there. So I would suggest when you are painting and inking to come into your brushes, and it looks like this icon right here, and just really quickly change your spacing to 1%. That way they are the closest they can possibly be, and your line quality will look even better than at the 25%. It might not be that easy to see, and even if I zoom in, it might not be that easy to see, but you will get cleaner lines as you're inking if you use that function, okay? I did forget to mention that last week because we kind of jumped the gun into getting into the drawing, and that was totally my fault. So there we go. That's part 2. All right, now let me go ahead and start hitting undo here, and it's probably not going to go the way. Okay, that went that far. Too bad. Too bad. So sad, Charlie. Okay, let me zoom in, and let me make sure my programming is okay. Okay, good. Delete this one. We'll open up a new one. Now, the brush that I use for sketching. Let me show you that. I love my brushes that I use for sketching. Basically, let me go up here. I'm going to grab it really quick, and then I'll show you guys here. Okay. Alright, so this brush right here that you can see that at the ends, the transfer is turned on, which makes it go to kind of it loses opacity at the start and at the end. Its spacing is at 25%. I'll keep it that way because this is my sketching pencil basically. When I'm drawing, I just want to be able to sketch stuff out. So I want light feeling sketching stuff, okay? Now, let me show you though, the dynamics, the shape dynamics are turned off. And if I keep it off, you'll see that the minimum diameter, the pen pressure isn't even set. It's all grayed out. Okay, so there are some other brushes that I use where the shape dynamics would actually be turned on. In this case, they are not. So let me go ahead and start drawing, and we'll go from there. I'm just showing you guys what brush I like to use when I'm doing just basic sketching. Let me change this to red, because basically the rule of thumb when it comes, there's no laws in art. The rule of thumb when it comes to art in any program, you know, whether if you're drawing digital or not, is that you usually need to lay down a sketch first. You need to have an understanding of what you're trying to draw, and putting down your sketch is a very wise idea. Let me make sure something here real quick. I need to change my settings. Let me pull up my display toggle, and much better. Much better. I had my board jumping over to my other screen, so I set it so it would not jump screens. Like I was saying, though, you want to make sure that you can lay down a sketch and kind of get a feel for what you're trying to accomplish before you begin inking. That way it just comes out looking much more uniform in the end process. I have no idea what I'm drawing. This is certainly not my usual style. But I admit that drawing with my tablet instead of drawing with my Cintiq, I find that it makes me draw differently. I find that it makes me pull out like a new style that I don't usually do. Kind of more of a concept style, if you know what I mean. And that's mainly because I'm uncertain about my drawing, and because I'm not used to this form of drawing with a tablet in that sense. Now, let me say something, and I got a misprogramming here. Usually I program my G13 so that this button right here that I'm pushing will move my screen like a spacebar. So let me reprogram that real quick. There's a button here on the top called MR, and I'm going to hit that. Quick macro, press the G key. So I'm going to hit this one. Enter your keys, press MR when done. So I'm going to hit space on my keyboard, and I'm going to go ahead and hit MR again. Quick macro recorded. Now, with that recorded, now I can go ahead and hit that, and now I have my move function. Nice and easy. That's the thing I like about it. You can program stuff in quick. Let me go ahead and keep going here. And let me select my red again, because I was selecting my color picker that whole time. There we go. Oh, my color picker isn't programmed in either, so let me quickly change that. Quick macro for that. I'm going to hit Alt, and there we go. Now I should have my quick macro for that programmed in. Some of my settings are a little different. It's been a while since I've used this. I've been working on my podcast a lot recently, so I've had less commissions while I've been focusing on that. So just trying to draw in what I want to draw in here. I can't rotate my screen. That's fine. I would like to rotate my screen, but I seem to have OpenGL issues. I got to do some more research on that in the future. So you can see I just got this basic sketch done, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Let me go ahead and do this. Usually the next thing that you can do to kind of help yourself take things even further is make a new layer. Take your layer that you've drawn on and drop your opacity. Okay, just enough so you can still see your character, but you're not confused about whose lines are whose. And then on your new layer, you go back in and you can refine it by putting in some more details. I would say still try to keep this in a sketch phase, just so you know you're getting what you're wanting in the final concept. Alright, so I'm just kind of going to start applying kind of my sketching style in here, and I don't have to be perfect. This is just feeling things out while I'm trying to get a likeness, if I'm drawing a caricature, or you know, whatever I'm trying to accomplish. Looks like a little garden gnome. It was supposed to be me, because I draw me all the time. But hey. Yes, and I have grown a very large, thick beard so far that I am enjoying very much. And there we go. Alright, so like I said, I'm using the sketch below, but a lot of artists that I trust talk about making an effort to, if you do a pre-sketch, to only use it to help you, to guide you. Don't use it, just basically redraw a brand new image over top. Don't keep that as law. Allow yourself to bend your own rules. That's going to give you the best art that you can possibly get when you're willing to bend your own rules. Let me make sure that's on the action line that I've drawn right there. Okay. And start drawing in this shirt. I don't want to look that fat. I am that fat, but I don't want to look that fat. There we go. Okay. Get a form of a hand in here. Maybe do like a short sleeve shirt with a white long sleeve shirt underneath or something like that. Just for the fun of it. I don't know what I'm drawing. Just, you guys know me. I draw what I want to draw. But as you can see, I'm just making quick, jutty moves with my pen, as I mentioned in last week's video, just to kind of get that feeling or form of what I want it to be. I've learned that when I'm drawing a perfect circle, it's really hard to do that in one stroke, and you'll find yourself doing it over and over and over, and there's really no such thing as a perfect circle. So you'll keep doing it, and you're just not getting anywhere. What I like to do these days, which is not the best thing that you can do, but it's what I do, is I scrape out my circles. And as I scrape it out, I'm putting down a lot of lines, and my brain is processing which lines come closest to what I'm trying to do. And when I have that down, I realized I've usually darkened in the darkest line that I really need to make that perfect circle. And then I can usually ink over top of that and feel pretty good about that. So that would be my suggestion, is when you're in this sketch phase, do not be afraid to just continue drawing individualized lines and just kind of scribble it out. Definitely suggest in the world of digital, scribbling can be your friend, because if you scribble a bunch, your brain processes what lines it likes, which ones it finds appealing. Kind of get some kind of form of kneecap in here, and I look like some kind of ghetto gangsta. What up? Alright, so I'm feeling like I'm having fun. That's always good when you're drawing. I apologize if my voice is a little quiet. It is a little late, and my wife does work in the morning, so I am trying to keep my voice down because she is asleep, and I do not want to wake her up. I don't think I have enter programmed into my keypad, so let me quickly program that in. There we go. Hopefully that'll help. Well, apparently I didn't program that just now. There we go. Now it's programmed. And back to... Alright, so I've gotten my ink layer in there that I like a lot more than my pre-sketched layer. So I can probably turn that off. And I feel really good about that, so we can go ahead and start inking it. So I'm going to make a new layer. Let's go grab an ink brush again. Okay. Now, like I said before, we'll jump into our brushes, and I'll change my spacing to 0 or 1%, just to make sure that's the cleanest. And let me get my black ink, and I'm on a new layer, and I'm just going to play it safe and lock my other layers that I have here. Lock and lock. Okay, that way I don't go messing around with it. Let me zoom in here. He looks a little low resolution, just because up close and personal, you can see pixels, individualized pixels. That bugs me after a certain point. So first off, let's go take a look at what my image size is. It is 1500 pixels tall. That's not bad by 2000 pixels wide. That really isn't that bad. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select all these layers. Excuse me. There we go. I have G13 on my keypad here, programmed for, I believe, Shift. Okay, let me grab it, and holding down Shift. Can't because some things are locked. Let me quickly unlock these. Reselect. Holding down Shift to keep everything uniform. I'm going to stretch him to fill the page. Okay. That looks much better. I'm going to hit Enter, and that will reprocess him, so the pixels around him will be a bit smaller, and it'll make it a little easier to work with. Okay, relock these layers on my ink layer now. Now, I cannot rotate my screen, which is definitely kind of stinky. I love when I can rotate my screen, but because I'm working in my Photoshop on this computer, it won't let me do it. So we're in the same boat that we were last time. But I'm going to go ahead and just begin getting in my inks. Now, I'm going to try and do things a little differently. I'm noticing that, okay, that's just because it's so small. I was going to say I'm noticing it looks like it's doing a really fine line instead of my hard black line. It's like it's transferring it. Let me go check my brushes again. Brush, and transfer is turned off, so that should be fine. Shape dynamics, pen pressure, minimum is set to 0, that's fine. And spacing is set to 1, hardness, size is 4. And if I do that, you can see that it's on both sides. So this, in this case, the pixel is so small that I'm working with as I'm inking that it just has to disappear. There's nothing I can do about that. If I really want to, I can make my image a higher resolution, and that would be just fine. So what I'm doing here, this is not the best thing you can do, but considering that we're using these kinds of boards and it's hard to learn control, I am going to go ahead and scrape out my inks on this. And then what I can do is if I don't like something, I can go grab my eraser, and I can make sure that my eraser has a hard edge or a feathered edge depending on your tastes, and I can just erase the excess, kind of work on the negative space. But like I said before, if you can do things in one stroke, you would benefit from that in a major way. So try and scrape things out when you're doing your pre-sketches. But I like the way that another artist, I believe it was Blitz. I believe that was his name, Bruce Blitz. I think you guys might recognize that name. I'm not sure, but he says ink with authority. So when you're going in there, just ink with authority, push and make it work. So I'm gonna go ahead and ink with authority here. And hey, if you don't like it, just undo and redo it again. There we go. Ink with authority. Alright, now I'll tell you guys another thing that I would suggest that usually looks pretty good with comics, especially if you do like cartoon comics, like what I'm drawing here. And that would be to keep your lines uniform on the outside of the body, but to work with a lot of smaller lines on the inside. So anything that's on the outside of this character, coming down the outsides, down the pants, all the way around, make that as deep and dark as you can. But on the insides, try to use smaller lines. It really adds a lot of dimension to your piece. And then, as I said last week, if need be, zoom in and draw zoomed in. Or if you need to, zoom out and draw zoomed out. Depending on the level of carefulness that you're trying to capture, it might benefit you to do one or the other. And of course, you'll learn to get better as you practice and progress, you know? And the good news is, if you like drawing, you're practicing when you're drawing, whether you like it or not. So just draw a lot, and you'll learn what you want to learn over time if you set your mind to it and just kind of go with it. Okay, so getting the beard in there. But you can see, because I've removed that spacing, these lines look pretty crisp, even with a heavy pixel on them. I mean, you can obviously see the pixel that I'm working with, and if I back up, the pixel will disappear like that. That looks really crisp, even for Photoshop. I think it would be crisper in other programs, but for Photoshop, this is looking really cool. Let's see, we want to go ahead and get this in here. There we go. All right. Like I said, guys, feel free to leave your questions and your comments. If you have any opinions on what you would like to see me teach, then definitely leave it in the comments, because that's a big key thing if you want to see more videos from me. I haven't been posting videos in a long time. The podcast is inspiring me to post more videos on here because you guys are here and you're supporting me in a major way, and we're really trying to get the podcast off the ground. So I've been posting them here, but I feel bad because those are audio only, and I want to give you guys what you've come here to see, and that's more tutorials. So thank you for checking out the podcast, and thank you for the inspiration of future videos, because I need your help if you want to see more. Okay, that's a very key thing. If you want to see more, be a part of the group, chat with me, and let's see what else we can talk about on here to further your art and other art from other artists. Okay. Okay, and just kind of quickly. Oops. Like I said last week, if you go a little too far on something, just grab your eraser and erase it back, and you're good to go. I'm just going to fill that in for time's sake. Alright, I got a weird little line up here that I can quickly erase, and I'm just going to undo and just make sure I shape it properly. And same thing with this little black line over there. There we go. Okay. And just kind of sketch out of hand. Excuse me, I'm not very good with hands, so I just quickly knock things in. Considering I'm a caricature artist and we draw a lot of faces, I don't get a lot of time to work on hands. There we go. Doesn't matter to me. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Now, also, you'll learn your style as time goes along. You might learn that you're a person who likes drawing edgy, or you're a person who likes drawing more rounded. I kind of have a little bit of both in my work, and you'll learn what your style is as you go on. Also, the beautiful thing about drawing digitally is it really gives you the chance to make mistakes and just go back and feel yourself out and really decide what you are, who you are, what you inspire to draw like, you know. And I mean, how much black fill do you want to put in one place or another? That's really key for certain art styles. You know, how much shadow here and there, how much, you know, just all the different dynamics that go into drawing caricatures and into drawing anything in period, whether it's character design or comics or whatever. Like you can see, guys, I'm doing lines and I'm looking at them and I'm making quick decisions. Should I make it fast or should I take my time and go slow, you know? Where can I connect lines? Where can I not connect lines? What's going to fit? And this so far feels good. And cut back too much. Undo with my command on my left-handed board. As you can see, I haven't touched my keyboard once, not even once, throughout this. This is all just on my G13. I really think the G13 is a good investment, and for 50 bucks, you know, maybe you have to draw 2 caricatures at 25 bucks a pop to make it happen, but you know, if you can get this board, your production will speed up. You know, once you learn the key commands and things that you've programmed in, your production will speed up maybe 10, 15, 20%, just because you're not continually clicking around. You're not trying to, I mean, you can see I'm not even using my pinwheel on my pad or any of the buttons on the pad. I'm just keeping my left hand in one place. I'm not moving my arm, and all I have to do is reach to a button, click it, and I've done my job for what I'm trying to complete. So there we go. It looks good. Just put this little emblem in here that I've drawn in here in the past. Let me go ahead and get some lines to say that it's a hat. Okay. Looks cool. I like it. It's kind of fun. Definitely out of my usual style, but that's okay. I love experimenting with new styles. Alright, I'm having a hard time with this line because I'm trying to do it in one stroke. So what I'm going to do is slower, but because I'm zoomed in, hopefully I can take out some of the jitter by zooming in. And that looked like it worked. So let me go ahead and finish this line here. We'll zoom out. Looks pretty cool. Is he inked well? That looks like a pretty good inking. Now, let's talk about the idea of making him stand out more. Basic trick would be to enhance all the lines on the outside of him. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So starting anywhere you want, make your brush a bit bigger, and try to keep that brush the same size all the way through. Try to keep it as smooth as possible as you're going. Okay. smooth as possible. Pushing pretty hard on the pen because I want to make sure that I try to keep this as thick as possible. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could use a different brush that doesn't use pressure sensitivity, or I could temporarily turn off the pressure sensitivity, but I'm old school. I like keeping all my settings on and working around them to make it happen. There are so many other ways that you could be doing certain things. I teach old school basics, and sure, you can flip a couple switches and do things a little differently, and you learn that over time. You know, like how to prepare your stuff with masks, or whether to go other means. You know, there's a lot of stuff. It will be a constant bland conversation of how to do this and how to do that. And my goal is to have fun and to share with you guys how to do the fun and to just go from there. So there we go. That looks good. Okay. So like I said, nice big thick lines. And only on the outside of your sketch do you want to put them. Also, depending on if something's closer to the camera, and I know that's kind of like more like a virtual camera, but that's what I call it. So right now we're looking at him through a camera, if you will. And if he's reaching out to you, I would consider blackening in his hand, you know, just to say this is separated from the body and it's closer. Alright, now let's zoom out. Now let's take a look. See how that just adds so much more effect to him? It gives him uniformity on the outside of his body, but at the same time it feels more dynamic. So that's a really good start. Plus, we can turn this off, and there you go. You kind of have a fun little dynamic silhouette that you could fill with black if you really wanted to. And if you have that, then you got a cool little silhouette. Alright, so that feels really good. Let's go ahead and talk, you know, color and such. Shall we? I think we shall. We're 32 minutes. We could stop here. Hey, you guys know I've been making really long videos these days, so I apologize, but I hope that you enjoy it. If you just wanted to get to the portion about how to ink, then you can stop the video here. I've taught you everything you need to know. And you just go ahead and... The main thing is change that spacing. The spacing really does make a difference. Give that a shot while changing the spacing. But we're going to go ahead and talk about flat colors and stuff like that now, okay? Alrighty then. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my water bucket, my paint bucket. And if I filled in these lines properly, I should be able just to dump in some quick colors in here. So let's go ahead and see if that'll work. Now, if I was using a different program, I would make a couple changes, and it would help me out a lot and speed up the process here. This is not going to do as well as I would like, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so supposedly the beard up here is not connected well, and because the beard is not connected right here, then we're going to have issues. So let me quickly just paint stuff in. Once again, going old school here. I could select areas and, you know, use my magic wand and select specific areas, but like I said, old school. If it doesn't work right the first time, I just jump back to what I know best, which gets me in trouble quite often, but hey, it's more time for us to talk. Don't you miss me? I miss you. So let me go ahead and paint these in. And I mean, honestly, there's two ways you can go. You can be the perfectionist at first and take your time painting stuff, or you can be the sloppy Joe now and then go perfectionist on cleanup. I'm gonna go sloppy Joe now, perfectionist on cleanup. So let me zoom out. I see an area that needs to be filled right here on his arm. There we go. So I guess this is a little bit more than just drawing with a Wacom tablet. This is also kind of a tutorial on everything Photoshop. So we'll see how much longer I go. I will do my best to give you guys a full rendition of how to work with your tablet. And if I was really doing that, if I was really being true to the truth and telling you guys what you need to learn about your tablet, I would tell you also that you can change your, like I said, you can program your buttons on the side of the board, and you can set your pen pressure for your board. There's a couple different settings you can do with your board. This is more about working with it in the programs that you appreciate. So that looks pretty good. That's a good start. Let me go ahead and change this, and this right here, this lock icon, I think it's called locking the alpha, which basically means now it's masked out only what I've painted in this layer, so I can paint over top and it's not going to affect anything else, which is kind of cool. Now the only thing that I don't like is that it requires you to make 600 layers of color, you know, where you might be able to get things done quicker in other ways. Let me go ahead and get a mid-tone for his face, and we're going to start painting in the face. And there we go, on my new layer. And once again, like I said, Sloppy Joe style here. Just very quickly knock it in. So how's everybody doing? Leave comments. Let me know how things are going. Find me on Facebook. Find me on the podcast. And just find me everywhere. There's lots of great places to check me out. I'll make sure to leave links. And please leave comments. Make sure you keep them clean. You know, we like to be family friendly on this channel. And definitely enjoy sharing stuff with you guys. Getting to see your artwork. Getting to see what you can do with the programs and all that jazz. Alright, yeah, you can totally see I am trying to veg while trying to get all this stuff drawn in here. So like I said, old school, just quickly coloring and erasing what I don't want. And I try to still do things in bits and pieces. So I'll try to lift up my pen every couple strokes that I do, because I could take 2 minutes to erase everything and hold my pen down and make a mistake right at the end, like right there. If I had been doing this the whole time and then I undid, I lost an awful lot. So, but if I do this and oops, I made a mistake and I undo, I've lost much less. So I'd say try not to do too much. So lift your pen up every now and then, that way you don't have to go back and clean up after yourself again over everything that you'd already done, if that makes any sense. Sorry, it sounds like my voice is going out on me. It's late. I think it's about midnight, getting closer to 1 o'clock right now. We've had a very busy day. It's been fun spending time with my wife. Though our jet ski broke down again. What do you do? Okay, coming up back up here towards the face. And there we go. There we are. Alright. Alright, so I got all my skin tones laid in. Once again, just going to lock down that alpha channel so that I can only color on those areas that have been laid down. Pants, let's do them like in a dark black gray. Maybe try to add some very basic blue in there. Something in there just to make it kind of fun. There we go. Try something like that. I'm going to try fill on this one and see if it behaves this time. Yeah, there you go. See, now here's the thing that bugs me about this. You see how it's laying down a white around it? That's the thing about Photoshop that other programs have learned from and made better. So what I can do, just out of curiosity, no, never mind, I take it back. What I can do, if I'm really desperate, is I can select this area by using this. There we go. So I've selected it with my magic wand, and then I can go to Select, Modify, Expand, and I can expand it by 1 pixel, which would hopefully take things into the black, and then I can do a fill and fill it with the color that I want. And then Control D to release it. But as you can see, I'm still not far enough. So let's try that again. Select, Modify, Expand. Nope, that's Contract. I need to expand. Select, Modify, Expand. Let's try by about 3 pixels. You can see that that line is now into the black a bit more, which is fine, but it doesn't always work well. And then I'm going to release that And we still have an issue. So maybe it's because we're selecting from all layers or something. So let's see, is it doing, it's on the inside where it's supposed to be. It's on a new layer. Let's see. I'm just gonna run with it. We don't have all night. Let's see if I can fix it. Okay. So I just filled it, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up this stuff by coloring in and just cleaning up these edges. Now, one of the benefits of having a really thick outer line on your character is it makes it a breeze to fix mistakes on the outer portions. So here I don't have to worry about my brush, coming in out here because that black is so thick. It's really easy to make those errors correct. Where, like right here, I have to be a little bit more consistent as I color this in. There we go. Coming down, coming over here, down this way, and gotta be really careful right there. Alright. And I'm sure there's other ways I could have fixed this. I just, old school. Old school. There we go. That'll work. Lock that layer with the alpha channel. I'll keep the shoes white just for lack of time. Let's get to the beard. Dr. Beard Face. Name that movie, guys. If you know that movie, name that movie. Or TV show. Dr. Beard Face. Hello, Dr. Beard Face. My wife watches that show all the time. Let's do this. I'm going to just go right into the whites. And then I'll come down to a almost black. That's a little gray still. Let's go a little darker. There we go. Because I use pure black for my outline, so I want to make sure that I'm still able to see the outline. Make my brush size a little bigger. Now, I'm going to drop this beneath my skin, beneath the clothes, and I'm just going to quickly fill in this really, really fast. Because I do not have to worry about those other colors at all. So that sped that up by quite a lot. And you can see I got a lot of spotting in here that I need to clean up. And that's because that alpha channel needs a little bit of extra cleaning. So I'm just going to turn off the alpha channel for the skin. And I can go in and quickly erase whatever I'm seeing, whatever little bugs are left around here. Any residual ink that I didn't erase. Which apparently there was quite a bit. Alright, and skin over here. There we go. That looks a little better. Let me go ahead and lock that alpha back down on the skin again. There we go. And go back to the beard. And now, actually, I have an issue. Oops, didn't mean to do that. You can see that I have that coloring over the eyebrows, so if I try to put in black for the eyebrows right now, it's going to paint it in below that layer. So I'm going to paint it in there as if I meant to do that on purpose. And then I'm going to come back up to this layer. Oops. Come back up to my skin layer. I will once again unlock the alpha, grab my eraser, and quickly knock out the eyebrows and erase it from the skin layer. Oops. Just like so. And I screwed up on that eyebrow a little bit. And I don't want to do a color picker because I'm just lame. There we go. So that fixed that just fine. There we go. Okay, so that'll take care of the eyebrows. Now for the hat, which is kind of a gray hat, I'm just going to lock down the alpha on the skin. Lock down the alpha on the hair. Make another layer. And this one's going to be the gray for the hat. And I'm just going to quickly pad this in. Just because there's so much thick black around the outsides, I won't have to clean up nearly as much as I would usually have to. Okay. There we go. That was easy enough. Lock the alpha. And one last layer. And this one's going to be the green for the brim of the hat. I have one specific MMA hat that I wear every now and then. And for some reason I decided to add it to this character's design a little bit more often. That's a wrong kind of green. Let's see if I can advance it to more of a neon green. And it's not going to be perfect because I think I'm drawing this in CMYK, which yes I am. If you know anything about CMYK or RGB, RGB has more rich tones because it works on the internet. You use it for internet type stuff. You can make websites with RGB, so you can have a lot of vibrant tones. But if you're working in print shops or something like that and you're doing print designs, you don't want to have RGB because those are colors that your printer can't reach. It's called reaching a gamut. Alright, so I got my colors all laid in. Let's make sure that everything is alpha channel locked, which at this point everything is. Feeling good, feeling good. Oh, let me unlock that layer and lock its alpha channel instead. Locked the wrong channel. I'm also gonna put the two inked layers together as one layer, so I'm gonna merge them. Shift. I would right click, but I don't have that on my pen. And I'm gonna merge layers. There we go. So now all the inked layers are one single layer. And now I can also lock their alpha channel. And now if I want to quickly color the outlines, hang on while I readjust my legs here. There we go. And now if I want to actually recolor the outlines to match some of his clothing and stuff, now I can do that as well. Okay? So same theory all the way through the design, which is kind of nice. Alright, let's go ahead and start adding some quick shading. Now, here's, like I said, the benefit to having all these alpha channels locked is you cannot make mistakes on anything else. Big benefit, saves a lot of time. So let me go ahead and I've selected that skin tone. I'm going to make things a little darker. Okay. And now I can very quickly begin just painting how I see fit. I'm going to use a hard brush to make these changes though. Let me put some music on my headset here because I was trying to listen to music to kind of keep me in the game. Oh, I can't because you guys can hear it. Never mind. I'm trying to do advertising through here as well, so I don't want to give away free music. Alright. Get a little tired. Okay. So I've grabbed my color. I'm going to do a hard brush first, just because it's a cartoon character. And I've basically set it the same way that I would usually set my my inking. So real quick, I've got the same ink brush. I can set my spacing to 1%, and I'm going to select his skin and just drop this down into the darkers. That way I'm following just a basic formula. There are lots of formulas for shading. I put out a video called Color Theory Tim's Way or something like that. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback on it. I appreciate everyone who's left comments. There have been some rather rude ones, but they still have had some true statements that it's not really color theory, it's just advice on shading and things of that nature. And color theory is using other colors, and you should be mixing more colors in your skin tones and stuff. And that's all well and good, but I deleted all of them because most of them were quite rude about it. They literally said stuff like, "We hate this video and everything you're saying because here's how it's supposed to be." You know, if you just said it nicely and said, "You know what, that's great, and I'm glad everyone got some use out of it, but here's some more advice that might come in handy." You know, those people who put up those kinds of videos are awesome. I mean, that put up those kinds of comments. That's how it should be done. we're here to share with each other. We're not here to beat each other down, you know? So there we go. I just got some basic color in there for the shirt. Let me move on to the pants just because I'm following the flow. Select my skin and my pants. I'm going to go a little darker. That might be a bit too dark, but we're going to see. Go to here. And like I said, the alpha channel is unaffected, so I can just scribble it in as much as I want really quick, which really helps if you're trying to get out a comic fast or something like that. This is the way to do it. You can very quickly knock in your shadows and your highlights and whatever you need really fast and just call it a day. I mean, you can set masks and things, and I've duplicated layers to do the highlights on one layer and the shadows on another and all that sort of stuff, you know. And it all works out great. So it all depends on what route you want to take. I am getting tired. I'm doing it for you guys. I love you guys. I'm doing it for you. Okay, that looks okay. I would do things a little better, but that's alright. Alright, face. Let's get the skin tone and select my skin tone and go a little darker and start painting in the darker skin. Okay. There we go. Nice basic shading. We don't need to go too advanced for a cartoon character, you know? Looks good. Alright, now the ball cap. Program in another macro here real quick. I feel my hand trained to doing something a certain way with the pad, and it seems like I don't have that programmed in to the Photoshop design. Because honestly, Manga Studio has been the program I've been using recently, and before that I was using Paint Tool Sci, which is also really good software. Each one has their merit, each one has their benefits and their negatives, and if you guys do want to know more about that, you can let me know, and I can try to do reviews on all these different softwares. That would take quite some time, but you know what? I need to get up more videos anyway, right? You guys have been so patient. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's see if I can quickly toss in some basic highlights. Maybe I'll just do like gradient highlights using the airbrush. So I'll just find an airbrush in my palette of brushes. Grab my skin tone and add some quick highlight to it. We'll go all the way up to the high point of the highlight and very carefully try and just knock in basic highlights where they're bold, but they're not like crazy bold. Just to give some very gentle definition. Just nothing too special, you know. There's a very nice balance between heavy duty shadows and basic bold highlights. Alright, in this case I want to bring up the saturation level instead of the let's see if that'll make a difference. Is that going to take it darker or lighter? Well, it's taking it a bit lighter. That's cool. So that's something, if you wanted to do it, you can hit hue, saturation, and black. This right here, if you want to add more, if you want to change the overall hue, you use this bar to change your color. The saturation of that color, you can use this to pull the saturation out or put it in. And then this one can just add your black to it. So we're going to go back and select this color. And I want to add more saturation. And really, you can't really tell because saturation is just a more emboldened color. And, oh, it would help if I actually switched over to the pants. Let's see if that makes a difference and totally cuts off my whole statement. And yeah, it's actually doing a little bit. You can see it. Looks like he has some issues. I have the airbrush turned on still. And the thing about this is I'm working in such a lower resolution that all of my CMYK values are coming out as hard points. So there's not much I can do about that, admittedly. I don't like how the pants are blending together. You see how this is happening? How it's causing this texture effect? So what I might do is I might actually get my blur brush, which there's a couple ways I can go about this, but I'm going to use the mixer brush tool, which I don't usually suggest, but in this case I'm just going to go for it. And I'm just going to kind of blend some of this together. Because I'm working in CMYK values, it's going to do some things that I don't prefer that it does, and that's to make things grainy looking and cause issues with definition. And best way to do that, if you know you're not going to be drawing for print purposes, then draw in RGB. If you're going to be doing it for print, then do it in, do it in CMYK. And then make sure that you're doing it at a high resolution. That way you can quickly master it out. Alright, and as you can see, I'm just quickly using the mixer brush in its default presets just to kind of calm down some of the shadows and try to leave some of them as hard. Try to leave some of them hard, but I'm just calming some things down a little bit. I can go back in and harden up all those lines if I want, but I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I kind of like it. I could do more. I could work on the beard. I could work on all this other stuff, but we're at 57 minutes, so that gives me roughly 3 minutes to finish up with you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and this was all drawn, of course, on the Intuos 5, which usually I do a lot of these tutorials off of the Cintiq that I have over on my art desk, but because I've had so many of you guys come to me and ask me how to do it on basic tablets like the Intuos, I've decided to try and make a couple videos. Please ask your questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear your comments and love to see what we can do to help you guys improve your art. If you want to leave comments giving advice, that's great. Just make sure to keep those clean, and thank you very much in advance. Guys, please make sure that you listen to the audio podcast. I think you guys will really like it. We will be talking about art soon. We get into just talking about our day and everything just goes haywire. But it's so much fun, and I'd really like it if you guys would be able to listen in. I think that you'd get a kick out of it. And if you really do like it, please make sure to hit the like button and leave comments on the Artisan Central podcast posts and on the Artisan Central podcast YouTube page and also our Facebook page. We've been working really hard on that. Other than that, guys, that's about it. Take a look at timmichaelarts.com if you want to get a caricature. Go to .com/webcomic.com if you want to read my comics on Ajax the Dot, who is a website. It's kind of cool. You'll have to read through that to understand what I'm saying about that. And then, yeah, I'm up to a whole bunch of different stuff, so just make sure to take a look at all my websites. All right? All right, I love you guys. God bless you. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode on the Tim Michael YouTube channel, Tim Michael Arts YouTube channel. And I'm off to bed. Goodness gracious, it's late. So y'all take care, and my fun little character says goodbye. Leave your questions below. What do you want to learn next? And I will do my best to make that happen for you. All right, I'll see you guys later. God bless you richly. Love y'all. Peace out.